never loved me. What happens after rebirth? Seeing him with someone else. Chapter 1. The words that broke everything. The hospital room smelled faintly of antiseptic and rain. Outside the window, the evening sky was heavy with dark clouds. As if the world itself knew something tragic was about to happen. Ethan sat quietly beside the hospital bed, his hands clasped together so tightly that his knuckles had turned pale. He hadn't slept in 2 days. His eyes were red, not just from exhaustion but from fear. On the bed lay Lily. Her breathing was weak, each breath slower than the last. The steady beep of the heart monitor echoed in the silent room like a ticking clock counting down the final seconds of something precious. Ethan leaned forward slightly. "Lily," he said softly, his voice trembling. "You're going to be okay. The doctors said the surgery might still work. Just hold on a little longer." But Lily didn't smile. For years, Ethan had loved her with everything he had. He had protected her, supported her dreams, and stayed by her side through every difficult moment. Everyone believed they were the perfect couple. Yet something about Lily's eyes tonight felt distant, cold. She slowly turned her head to look at him. Her pale lips parted as if she had been holding back words for a long time. "Ethan," she whispered. His heart tightened. "I'm here," he replied immediately, grabbing her fragile hand. "I'm right here." For a moment, the room fell completely silent. Then Lily spoke the words that shattered his entire world. "I never loved you." Ethan froze. The sentence felt unreal, like a cruel joke that his mind refused to accept. "What? German?" Lily's gaze remained calm, almost indifferent. "I stayed with you because it was convenient," she continued weakly. "You were always there, doing everything for me." Each word pierced deeper than a knife. Ethan's chest tightened painfully. All the memories of the past 5 years flashed through his mind late. Nights studying together. Birthdays, promises, laughter. Were they all fake? His voice cracked. "Lily, why are you saying this now?" For the first time, a faint emotion flickered in her eyes. But it disappeared so quickly that Ethan couldn't understand it. "Because I'm dying," she said quietly. "And I don't want to lie anymore." The heart monitor beeped faster for a brief moment before slowing again. Ethan felt as if the ground beneath him had collapsed. He had imagined many final conversations, but never this. Tears blurred his vision, but he refused to cry in front of her. "So, all those years meant nothing to you?" he asked. Lily didn't answer. Instead, she slowly closed her eyes. "Goodbye, Ethan." The machine suddenly let out a long, sharp sound. The doctors rushed in moments later, shouting urgent commands. But Ethan couldn't hear them anymore. Everything around him had become distant. All he could hear were her final words repeating endlessly in his mind. "I never loved you." The rain outside began to pour, heavily striking the window like thousands of tiny fragments. That night, Ethan lost not only the woman he loved, but also the part of his heart that believed in love. He didn't know it yet. But somewhere, far beyond time itself, Lily was about to open her eyes again. And when she did, everything would be different. Chapter 2. The Second Chance. The sound of the heart monitor's flatline still echoed in Ethan's mind. Down! Piercing beep, had followed him everywhere for the last 3 years, into his dreams, into his silence, into every quiet moment when the world slowed down just enough for the memory to return. "I never loved you." Those had been Lily's last words. 3 simple words that shattered 10 years of devotion. After her death, Ethan's life became colorless. He threw himself into work, building the company he had once dreamed of starting with her. Success came quickly: money, power, recognition, but none of it meant anything anymore, because the one person he had loved most had left him with nothing but a cruel truth. Or at least, that's what he believed. One rainy evening, Ethan drove alone through the city. The streets were wet, glowing under neon lights, just like the night Lily died. His grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Why did you say that?" he whispered to the empty car. Thunder rumbled in the sky. Suddenly, a blinding light exploded in front of him. A truck's horn screamed through the rain. Ethan's eyes widened. Tolachi. The world spun violently as metal collided with metal. Glass shattered. Pain shot through his body as everything faded into darkness. For a moment, there was nothing. Sound. Pain. No memories. Just silence. Then, warm sunlight touched his face. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. The ceiling above him looked unfamiliar, yet strangely nostalgic. A white fan spun lazily overhead. He frowned. "Where am I?" He sat up abruptly. The room was small, neat, and filled with things he hadn't seen in years. A wooden desk, stacks of textbooks, a familiar blue backpack. His heart skipped a beat. Why? He rushed to the mirror beside the desk. The reflection staring back at him made his breath stop. A younger version of himself stood there. Smooth skin, clear eyes, no tired lines, no scars from the years of hardship. Ethan staggered back. This is impossible. His trembling hands grabbed the phone lying on the desk. The screen lit up. The date appeared. April 14th. 3 years ago. The day before Lily's accident. His heart slammed violently in his chest. I went back in time. Memories crashed through his mind like a storm. The hospital. Her cold voice. Her final words. "I never loved you." Pain stabbed through his chest again, but this time something else followed it. Resolve. If fate had given him another chance, he would not make the same mistakes again. Ethan slowly closed his eyes. "Fine," he muttered quietly. "This Chimi. I won't chase you anymore, Lily." His voice was calm, but firm. "I'll live my life without you." Just then, his phone buzzed. A message appeared on the screen. Lily. "Ethan, are you free tomorrow? I want to see you." For a long moment, Ethan stared at the message. In the past, he would have rushed to meet her immediately. But now, he simply locked the phone screen and placed it on the desk. A faint, indifferent smile appeared on his face. Tolachi. Outside the window. The wind began to blow gently as if the future itself had just changed. Chapter 3. The first change. The next morning felt strangely calm. Ethan woke up earlier than usual. Sunlight slipped through the curtains, painting soft golden lines across the room. For a moment, he simply lay there, staring at the ceiling, reminding himself that this was real. He had truly returned to the past. This time, he wasn't the desperate man who had spent years chasing someone who never loved him. This time, he would live differently. Ethan got dressed and left his apartment. The morning air was cool and fresh, filled with the quiet sounds of the city waking up. In his previous life, his entire world had revolved around Lily. Her happiness had been his mission. Her smile had been his reward. And in the end, her final words had destroyed him. "I never loved you." Those words still echoed in his mind like a distant thunder. But today, something inside him had changed. Ethan pulled out his phone and saw several unread messages. They were from Lily. In the past, he would have opened them immediately, replying with excitement. He would have rushed to meet her, canceling anything else just to spend time with her. But today, he didn't open them. Instead, he slipped the phone back into his pocket and kept walking. For the first time in years, Ethan felt free. He arrived at the company building where he worked as a junior designer. The tall glass structure reflected the bright morning sky. As he entered, a familiar voice called out, "Ethan, you're early today." He turned and saw Mark, his cheerful coworker. Ethan smiled slightly. In his previous life, Mark had always tried to warn him about Lily. But Ethan had never listened. "Couldn't sleep," Ethan replied. Mark laughed. "That's a first." They walked toward the office together. Inside, the open workspace buzzed with quiet conversations and the tapping of keyboards. Ethan sat at his desk and opened his laptop. Something strange happened. Ideas began flowing through his mind. Because of his past life, Ethan already knew many future trends in design projects that would become popular. Concepts that companies would soon chase. It felt like holding tomorrow's newspaper in his hands. His fingers moved quickly across the keyboard as he began sketching. A concept he remembered would become revolutionary 2 years later. Within minutes, a sleek and innovative design appeared on his screen. Mark leaned over and stared. "Whoa, Ethan. What? Since when are you this good?" Ethan only smiled. At noon, the office doors suddenly opened. A woman walked in. She wore a simple white blouse and black skirt. But something about her presence made the entire room feel quieter. Her long dark hair rested gently on her shoulders, and her calm eyes scanned the office. Ethan looked up. Oz. He recognized her instantly. Sofia Carter. In Ethan's previous life, she had become one of the most powerful business leaders in the city. But right now, she was just a mysterious new visitor standing inside his office. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and for some reason, Ethan felt the strange sensation that this meeting might change his future completely. Across the room, Lily was watching too. Her eyes narrowed slightly. For the first time, she noticed something unusual. Ethan wasn't looking at her anymore, and for some reason, that made her feel uncomfortable. The story of Ethan's second life had only just begun. Chapter 4. The Woman Who Changed Everything. The office buzzed with whispers long after Sophia Carter walked in. Ethan could still feel the weight of her gaze from earlier. It wasn't the curious, kind people usually gave him. It was sharp, almost as if she already knew him. He tried to ignore it and focused on his laptop screen. The design project in front of him was important. In his previous life, this project had failed badly. His manager had blamed him, and that failure had been the beginning of everything falling apart. But this time was different. Ethan remembered every mistake. His fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, correcting flaws before they even appeared. Lines of code, diagrams, and layouts formed smoothly on the screen. Behind him, Mark leaned over his chair. "Whoa, Ethan, did you secretly become a genius overnight?" Mark whispered. Ethan smiled faintly. "Just luck." But Mark shook his head. "No, this is the best draft I've seen all week." Before Ethan could reply, the office suddenly went silent. Footsteps echoed across the floor. Sophia Carter was walking toward them. Her black heels tapped softly against the polished floor, each step calm and confident. Employees quickly pretended to focus on their work. But everyone was secretly watching. Sophia stopped beside Ethan's desk. "Are you Ethan Blake?" she asked. Her voice was smooth and composed. Ethan slowly stood up. "Yes, Miss Carter." Sophia glanced at the laptop screen. For a moment, her expression remained unreadable. Then her eyes narrowed slightly. "You designed this?" "Yes." The silence that followed felt heavy. Several coworkers looked over nervously. Finally, Sophia nodded. "This design solves the flaw in the original proposal," she said calmly. "Interesting." Mark almost choked behind Ethan. Sophia Carter rarely complimented anyone. But then she said something that shocked the entire office. "Come to my office after lunch? I want to discuss this project with you personally." The room froze. A private meeting with Sophia Carter. That never happened. Ethan nodded politely. "Understood." Sophia gave him one last thoughtful look before turning and walking away. The moment she disappeared around the corner, the office exploded with whispers. Did that really just happen? Why? Even senior managers don't get private meetings. Mark grabbed Ethan's shoulder. "Bro, what did you do?" Ethan just leaned back in his chair. Inside, his mind was racing. In his previous life, Sophia Carter had never spoken to him. Once, something had changed. Across the office, Lily was staring at Ethan. Her fingers tightened around her phone. She had expected Ethan to come begging for her attention again, like he always used to. But instead, he looked calmer, stronger. And now Sophia Carter herself was interested in him. A strange feeling rose in Lily's chest. Jealousy. For the first time since Ethan met her, she felt like she was the one being left behind. Meanwhile, Ethan stared quietly at the city skyline outside the office window. This new life was moving in a direction he had never imagined. And deep inside, he had a feeling Sophia Carter trusting him might be the start of something far bigger than anyone realized. Chapter 5: The Choice That Changed Everything. The sun had barely risen over the city skyline when Ethan walked into the office. The air was crisp, and a faint golden glow seeped through the large glass windows. Today felt different, charged with possibility, and yet uncertain. Ever since Sophia Carter had taken notice of his work, whispers in the office had intensified. But for Ethan, the noise outside didn't matter anymore. He had a new perspective on life, freedom he had never experienced in his previous life. He reached his desk and found Lily standing nearby, her phone clutched tightly in her hands. Her eyes flickered with a mixture of hope, fear, and something tasting vulnerability. "Ethan," she said softly, "can we talk?" He paused, considering. In the past, he would have dropped everything to listen to her, to beg for her attention. But now, he was different. He had learned to value himself, to respect his own heart. "I'm listening," he said calmly, taking a seat. Lily's eyes widened slightly at his composed tone. She hesitated, then took a deep breath. I made a mistake, she admitted, her voice trembling. I should have realized before. You didn't need me to validate your life. You were always amazing, Ethan, even when I didn't notice. Ethan leaned back in his chair, feeling a quiet satisfaction not from her apology, but from the realization that he had changed. He had grown beyond dependence, beyond heartbreak, beyond the past. Thank you for saying that, Lily, he replied. But I've realized something important. I can't go back to the life I had before. I have to move forward. Her hands shook slightly. Then, what are you saying? Ethan smiled faintly. I'm saying I've learned to live for myself first. And maybe there's someone else in my life now who helps me do that. At that moment, Sophia. Carter entered the office quietly. Her presence calm but commanding. She stopped beside Ethan, her eyes meeting his, and a subtle, understanding smile appeared on her lips. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected this, seeing Ethan here. Composed, confident, and connected with someone new. Ethan stood and extended his hand towards Sophia. Shall we discuss the project? He asked, his tone polite but firm. Sophia nathers my worm. Absolutely. Lily turned away, unable to face the scene. A mix of regret and helplessness filled her chest. For the first time, she understood what it meant to lose someone not because of fate, but because she had underestimated them. As Ethan walked toward the meeting room with Sophia, he felt lighter than he had in years. This wasn't just about work, it was about choices. About finally living the life he deserved. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The past was gone, broken and unchangeable. The future, however, was unwritten, and for the first time, Ethan felt ready to write it himself. Outside the window, the city gleamed in the morning light, full of possibilities, and he stepped into it with confidence, leaving heartbreak behind for a new beginning.